prognosis for that, is Harrington rod surgery. They put these long stainless steel rods in your spine. So in my case, it would be from the base of my neck to the base of my spine, stabilize the entire spine. And I just had 4 opinions from 4 of the leading surgeons in Southern California, and I was in my 20s, and I just couldn't imagine myself living on addictive medications or not being able to do whatever I love to do physically. So I decided not to have the surgery. I just went against the opinions of the experts, and I just thought maybe there's a way that my mind could heal my body. And so that started my journey, and somehow it worked. So I've been spending the rest of my life studying that.
Had that not happened, do you think you would have gone in a different direction?
Sure, absolutely. Absolutely. What if the worst thing that happened was the best thing that happened?
And that starts this you create this belief in your mind that you can heal yourself using your mind.
Well, it was kind of crazy because I think when you're faced with crisis, like in a situation like this, we tend to focus on the worst thing that could happen instead of the best thing that could happen. And that's because of the hormones of stress. In emergency, you always prepare for the worst. Better chances of survival if you think about the worst. So it took an enormous amount of energy for me to stop that, to stop thinking that way and stop feeling that way. 6.5 weeks of a dark night of the soul, I would say, because I couldn't get my brain to do what I wanted it to do. Even though I theoretically and understood it, I just kept defaulting. And I spent hours, and finally I was able to kind of get control over it. And then as soon as I started noticing some changes in my body, the moment I started feeling my limbs again, and the moment I started noticing I was moving a little better, I knew somehow I was having an effect, and that's the moment it all changed for me.
Running all these businesses, Joe, and you have such an empire of businesses and projects and people and teams all over the world, how have you managed your relationship with technology? Because technology is omnipresent in my life.
Yeah.
And that's why I say I get dragged out of bed by it.
Stephen, I never planned on doing any of this. I never planned on doing any of this. I mean, all the corporate stuff just came out of a few lectures because there were CEOs and presidents of companies that urged me to create a model for change for companies and organizations. I never wanted to do that. I never wanted to do Inner Health Coalition with doctors, just our community. There's an emergent consciousness that says, please do that. So we're working on, in the same vein of the same mission, giving people, our community, listening to our community and creating more of that for people. I don't have any difficulty if it's part of the mission to do any of those things. If I were just doing my events and that's it, and we could just do that, my life would be a whole lot simpler. But all these other things that we're doing now, in terms of, they also bear a lot of fruit. I mean, the research that we're doing right now is I can say right now, Stephen, that what we're doing is no longer pseudoscience. I can say that now. It's no longer pseudoscience. I can say that in 7 days, your body can make a pharmacy of chemicals that work better than any drug. I can tell you that one intervention called meditation can change a host of different health conditions. There's no drug that does that. So if I weigh all those different things that I have to evolve in some way against the effects it's producing, it's always, for me, worth the effort.
Are you happy?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That I don't need anyone or anything to make me happy.
That's your definition of happiness?
I think, yeah. I mean, if you have a kind of a freedom of expression without any real limitation, and you're comfortable with you, and you love what you're doing, and you feel good about it. And sure, I mean, I'm always in the river of change. I'm always looking for blind spots. I'm always working on evolving who I am. I always want to evolve my experience. I always want to look to see if it serves me.
Do you have sad days?
I have days where I'm overwhelmed by just everything.
And what are the symptoms of that overwhelm?
It takes me a little bit to focus my attention again. Just too many things I have to think about. So I have to take a little time and get centered and organized. But do I have sad days? I don't know. Sad. I don't really know sad, but kind of days where I'm kind of introspective without needing much emotion. Yeah, I have those days. Yeah.
If this were to be your last day on Earth, Joe,
Wow.
and there was just a central message that the millions of people, that could be listening right now, you felt that they needed to hear, that would serve them the best and serve us collectively the best, what might that central message be?
It's important for people to believe in themselves. I think it's really important for people to remember that they're the creators on some level, and they have a hand in creating in their life, and that possibility is something that they should always keep their mind open to. I think that we're greater than we think. We're more powerful than we know, more unlimited than we could ever dream.
Do you realize how many people you've helped?
Gosh, I don't know. Maybe.
You must be moved by the feedback you get, because I was reading through testimonials and messages and all the top comments and stuff, and it's really, really profound stuff, and it's hard to imagine a world where that doesn't touch,
It
sit with you, for better or for worse.
People stop me a lot of times, and I'll be somewhere and they'll say, hey, I know you hear this a lot. You really helped me, or you really changed my life. And I always say to them, I never get tired of the story. It's the feedback for me that inspires me to keep doing what I'm doing. So I love the stories. I love those. I love to hear them. It challenges many times my own belief about what's possible. So I think I love to celebrate that with people.
If this next chapter of your life is successful, if we sit here 10 years from now and you say, Steve, that was a fantastic decade for you, what would have happened in that decade for you to say that?
Gosh, we would publish a lot of papers that show how powerful people really are. We would have our own research center where we could do even further studies on cancer, on all different chronic health conditions. We were studying the effects of healing on others, and we have really profound data on that as well. I think that the conversation in healthcare and medicine could change on some level. I mean, the conversations that I'm having with researchers and physicians are not the same conversations I was having just 2 years ago, especially when they look at our data, they kind of fall out of their chair.